Hey K-Poppers, and welcome back to Hallyu. Today, I'm looking into my crystal ball and sharing 10 crazy predictions for the next year in K-pop that just might actually end up coming true. I will admit a lot of these are kind of far-fetched, but there's a thread of truth and possibility in every single one. Before we get started, a quick thank you to Hallyu's honorary producers. If you want to be on this list and show off your bias group to everyone watching, you can support my work on Patreon. Patrons also have a say in lots of videos before they're released, so if you want to leave your mark on Hallyu, come join us over on Patreon. Alright, now let's look to the future and to some absurd predictions for K-pop in the year 2021. Prediction number 1. Girls' Generation will have a comeback, and not just as 5 with OGG, but as the full group. I'm a huge So-One, so this might just be me daydreaming, but all 5 members did renew their contracts with SM this year, and there have been several instances of members hanging out together and reuniting as 8, most notably to sing at their manager's wedding. Tiffany has also been spending a lot of time in Korea lately, and for that matter, so has Jessica. I know OT9 would never happen, but if it does, you heard it here first. Prediction number 2. Big Hit Entertainment will acquire a majority of Rainbow Bridge World, the label behind Mamamoo. Big Hit has a history of aggressive growth driven by a new age philosophy, and they have a history of acquisitions as well. I covered this a lot in a deep dive, so check it out if you want to see why this may very well be the most likely prediction to happen. Big Hit acquired Source Music and Pledis Entertainment somewhat recently, and to me it just makes sense to pick up a label with a superstar group like Mamamoo and specifically Hwasa, who has a huge brand recognition value in Korea. Prediction number 3. Red Velvet will not come back as a full group until the second half of 2021. Let me start by saying that I am a big fan of Red Velvet and an even bigger fan of my fellow Canadian Wendy, but I think SM has been really vague about Red Velvet details on purpose. Anytime we've heard rumors recently of a Red Velvet comeback, it's been little crumbs here and there, a leak from Yeri in an interview, a slide at a startup tech conference from an SM employee, and so on. We haven't had any official, concrete statement about a comeback, and while Wendy is back in dance practices now, it's still going to take some time for her to fully return to her form. Not to mention, SM is likely okay with waiting if it helps distance the group from the Irene scandal that happened this fall. So while I would love to see Red Velvet back as 5 really soon, I'm predicting that we won't see it for at least 6 more months. Prediction number 4. 2 major groups from different labels will collaborate on an album. Individual collabs with certain members or soloists is pretty common nowadays, but it's baffling to me that no 2 labels have gotten together and said, hey, I've got a popular group, and you've got a popular group, let's make a legendary album and make the K-pop world explode. A lot of labels have really been drawing on foreign artists and working with them lately, so I feel like the next natural step is to lower that barrier within Korea and start combining forces. I mean, come on, who wouldn't buy a Stray Kids and NCT mega group album? Prediction number 5. Gugudan will have a comeback as a group. Honestly, of all the absurd predictions in this video, I have the least faith in this one actually happening. But I do know one thing, the members of Gugudan are still close together, and even though Sally has been in China for a while, the members still publicly cheer her on. And with VIX's future in limbo, I think Jellyfish might just have a sudden realization that they need to salvage Gugudan and bring the gang back together, or else as a label, they'll be looking at disappearing from the K-pop world altogether. Prediction number 6. 1 or more music shows will drastically alter their scoring system and or other rules surrounding winning. I think there's a few sources of pressure on music shows right now. The first being that groups like BTS and Blackpink are winning absurd numbers of shows and suffocating other artists from getting anything more than a couple wins. But there's also the problem that the scoring system drives extreme fans to buy albums in bulk and subsequently dump them, creating a lot of waste and serious problems for whoever is on the receiving end of the donation of used albums. So I think because of this, we'll see some big changes to scoring in some of these shows. Prediction number 7. Photocards will be AR enabled. Augmented reality is already seeping its way into K-pop with KDA and now aespa, and I see a huge potential with augmented reality photocards. Imagine if when you get a photocard, you can open your phone to see a 3D model of the member you got projected above the card in their outfit for the era. And even better, if you collect all members and combine them, maybe you could get a group model. I think it would be really cool, not that difficult to implement, and it would drive a whole new wave of hype around buying albums to sustain K-pop sales in an even more digital future. Prediction number 8. IZONE will extend their contract past April 2021 and will not disband this year. I know this one's pretty near impossible to happen as most labels are really looking forward to getting their members back, but my thought here is this. IZONE have been insanely popular both in Korea and Japan. Their sales numbers have been through the roof and they successfully managed to pull in a big and loyal following from both countries. Keeping IZONE around, even if it's just for another 9 months until the end of 2021, would be a big source of revenue for the various labels involved, and who knows, maybe the members really do enjoy being together in IZONE and they want to stay that way for a little bit longer. Prediction number 9. Idols will start getting exemptions from mandatory military service. This is already starting to get a bit of traction actually, as BTS members are starting to come up on their own service deadlines, and it's definitely a contentious issue. We saw recently that a new provision was announced to let certain idols apply for an extra 1-year delay to their service, but here I'm talking about full-on exemptions. This would definitely upset some demographics in Korea, but financially speaking, it's definitely in the interest of South Korea's government to allow BTS to be exempt from being forced into a hiatus. And if they do get an exemption, it won't be long before more and more idols are able to avoid military service too. At this point, K-pop has become such a source of money and soft power for Korea, and I think they're gonna give in to that pressure and let idols skip mandatory military service. Prediction number 10. Itsy will go on a global tour in 2021. Itsy have been gaining popularity in a hurry, and they've had sales numbers to back it up. Twice is already firmly established as a superstar girl group, and I think JYP sees that same potential in Itsy. What better way to promote internationally while also seeing just how popular Itsy has gotten around the world than to go through a tour in Asia, Europe, and North America? Not to mention, K-pop fans are itching for a concert, and if JYP can safely pull off a tour near the end of 2021, it's going to have so much going for it to succeed thanks to that lack of concerts in 2020. Alright guys, those were my wild predictions. Which ones do you think are most likely to come true, and which ones do you think are just crazy? What's your wild prediction for 2021? Let me know all that stuff down in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss all the great K-pop news and entertainment that's coming to you guys each and every single week here at Hallyu.